Hey everyone, welcome back to today's video. We're diving into an interesting and often overlooked coin from US history, the 1965 half dollar. Specifically, we're going to talk about its circulated value, how it fits into the larger picture of American coinage, and what makes this half dollar unique. So, if you're into coin collecting or just curious about the history behind this piece of US currency, stay tuned. Now, this right here is the iconic 1965 Kennedy half dollar, and as you can see, it bears the face of President John F. Kennedy following his tragic assassination in 1963. The 1965 half dollar was released as part of the United States tribute to JFK and became a permanent fixture in American coinage. But what makes it so significant? And more importantly, how much is it worth today, especially if you come across one in your pocket change? Before we get into the value, let's take a quick look at the background of the 1965 half dollar. You might already know that this coin marked a major shift in the composition of U.S. half dollars. Prior to 1965, half dollars were made of 90% silver, which made them not only a great investment but also an attractive option for coin collectors. However, in 1965, due to rising silver prices and a national shortage of silver, the U.S. Mint decided to change the composition of the half dollar. The new 1965 half dollar is made up of 40% silver, with the remaining 60% being copper. This change was part of the larger Coinage Act of 1965, which also impacted other coins like dimes and quarters. As a result, this 1965 Kennedy half dollar wasn't as valuable as its predecessors, but it still carried the same iconic Kennedy design. Now let's talk about the value of the 1965 half dollar in circulated condition. You might be wondering, is it worth anything more than its face value? And the answer is, generally, not much. In fact, a circulated 1965 half dollar is worth about its face value, which is 50 cents, depending on its condition and the market. Circulated coins, especially ones that have been in circulation for decades like the 1965 half dollar, show signs of wear and tear. The more worn out the coin, the lower its premium, and most 1965 half dollars you'll find today will fall into this category. But here's where things get interesting. If the coin is in particularly good condition, like uncirculated or in mint state, it can fetch a little more on the market. So, if you find one in excellent condition, say an MS-63 or higher grade, you could expect to get around $2 to $3 for it. That's a modest increase from its face value, but it's still a nice little boost, especially if you've held onto one of these coins for a while. While the 1965 half dollar may not be a rare or highly valuable coin on its own, there are factors that can make it more collectible. For example, if you come across a coin with a rare mint mark or an error, like a double die or off-center strike, then you might have a more valuable piece. Mint errors are an interesting part of coin collecting. A 1965 half dollar with a noticeable error could be worth significantly more than a regular, circulated version. For example, a well-known error with a 1965 half dollar is the D/D mint mark, where the D mint mark was struck twice on the same coin. If you come across something like this, definitely check with a professional grader or numismatist, as it could be worth anywhere from $20 to several $100s, depending on the error and its condition. But keep in mind, finding these errors is pretty rare. So don't expect every 1965 half dollar you come across to be worth a fortune. Why should you even care about the 1965 Kennedy half dollar if it's not the most valuable coin out there? Well, for collectors, it's a piece of history. The 1965 half dollar was the first in a series of coins that were issued following the assassination of President Kennedy, and it commemorates one of the most pivotal moments in American history. By collecting coins like the 1965 half dollar, you're not just adding a piece of currency to your collection. You're holding onto a piece of American history that symbolizes a national tragedy, the nation's transition in coinage, and the legacy of President John F. Kennedy. If you're thinking about adding a 1965 half dollar to your collection or selling one that you found, there are a few things to keep in mind. First, always make sure you're buying or selling through reputable dealers or platforms. Online auctions, coin shows, or even local coin shops are great places to get your hands on one of these coins or find buyers for your own. When buying, always look for certifications or coin grades to get a better idea of the coin's condition and value. And when selling, consider getting your coin graded by a professional organization like the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC, or Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, to help you get the best price. So, there you have it. The 1965 Kennedy half dollar isn't necessarily a high-value coin, but it's a great addition to any collection and holds a significant place in U.S. history. Whether you're a seasoned numismatist or just starting out, it's always worth keeping an eye out for coins like these, as they tell a story that's bigger than just currency. The 1983 USA half-dollar coin. We're going to talk about its circulated value, its significance, and whether or not it's worth holding on to in today's market. Let's get started. First, let's take a look at the 1983 USA half-dollar coin. This coin is part of the Kennedy half-dollar series, which has been in circulation since 1964. The obverse, or the front of the coin, features a portrait of President John F. Kennedy, designed by Gilroy Roberts. On the reverse, we have the iconic eagle from the Great Seal of the United States, holding a shield with an olive branch in one talon and arrows in the other. The design of this coin remains one of the most recognizable in U.S. history, making it a favorite among collectors and historians alike. Now, let's talk about the circulated value of the 1983 half-dollar. You might be surprised to know that even though this coin was minted over 40 years ago, it doesn't carry much more than its face value when it comes to circulation. In fact, if you happen to find one in your pocket change today, it's likely worth just $0.50. The 1983 half-dollar was minted in relatively large numbers, making it quite common. The total mintage for this year was over 10 million coins, which is one of the reasons its value remains low in circulation. So, while it may be a cool coin to have in your collection, its value as a circulated coin won't break the bank. Let's take a closer look at the minting of this coin. The 1983 half-dollar was produced at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, but it was never released into regular circulation for widespread use like other coins. In fact, it was primarily produced for collectors and commemorative purposes. That being said, it's still commonly found in circulation today, though it's mostly in used condition. Now, if you happen to have a 1983 half-dollar in mint condition or even a proof version, things start to change a bit. Coins in uncirculated condition can have a value higher than the face value. For example, if you come across a 1983 Kennedy half-dollar that has been kept in pristine, mint condition, it could be worth anywhere from $1 to $3 in today's market. Of course, this all depends on the coin's quality and whether it's been graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC. Coin grading is a critical part of determining a coin's value. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect coin. If your 1983 half-dollar is graded as a high-quality coin, it could fetch a higher price in the collector market. For those of you looking to sell or buy these coins, there's a pretty active market online. Websites like eBay or dedicated coin auction sites are great places to find what collectors are willing to pay. While most 1983 half-dollars won't make you a fortune, it's always worth checking the condition and seeing if yours might be a hidden gem. Before we wrap up, let's discuss why you might want to keep an eye out for this coin, even if it's not worth much in circulation. The Kennedy half-dollar series is historically significant. It was introduced in 1964, just a few months after the tragic assassination of President John F. Kennedy. Over the years, these coins have become a symbol of American resilience, history, and the memory of a beloved president. If you're a history lover, a coin collector, or just someone who appreciates the legacy of JFK, then this coin holds sentimental value. So, is the 1983 USA half-dollar worth much in circulation? Not really. But as a collector's item or as part of the Kennedy half-dollar series, it definitely has a place in American coin history. If you have one, keep it. It's a piece of history, and who knows? Maybe it'll be worth a little more in the future as collectors continue to seek out these iconic coins. The Kennedy half-dollar was introduced in 1964, just a few months after the assassination of President John F. Kennedy in November 1963. The U.S. government wanted to commemorate his legacy, so the half-dollar coin was chosen for this purpose, replacing the Franklin half-dollar. The coin features a portrait of Kennedy on the obverse front side, which was designed by Gilroy Roberts, the chief engraver of the U.S. Mint at the time. On the reverse, the coin depicts the Great Seal of the United States, with an eagle clutching an olive branch and arrows in its talons, designed by Frank Gasparo. The Kennedy half-dollar was initially minted in 90% silver, but due to the rising cost of silver, the composition of the coin was changed in 1971 to a copper-nickel-clad coin. This switch was a part of a larger move to reduce the use of precious metals in coinage, which began after the Coinage Act of 1965. The 1983 Kennedy half-dollar is a part of the clad series, meaning it was composed of 91.67% copper and 8.33% nickel. The coin was struck at the Philadelphia and Denver mints, with both mints producing significant numbers of coins. Unlike many other U.S. coins that are circulated regularly, the Kennedy half-dollar, including the 1983 version, has seen limited use in everyday transactions. This is largely because the coin was not widely used in commerce. By the early 1970s, the demand for half dollars in circulation had diminished significantly, and they were primarily issued for collectors or used in special sets. In 1983, over 10 million Kennedy half dollars were produced, though these coins were largely intended for collectors. While the coin was technically still in circulation, it was not commonly used in everyday transactions, and it became more of a collectible item. The Kennedy half dollar holds deep historical significance for several reasons. 1. Commemoration of JFK. It is a tribute to the life and presidency of John F. Kennedy, a leader who captured the hearts of many Americans and whose presidency was marked by ambition, hope, and tragedy. 2. Cultural icon. The coin has become a cultural symbol, representing a time of transformation in American politics and society. The image of JFK on the coin has continued to evoke nostalgia for his leadership and the idealism of the 1960s. 3. Collector's item. Over the years, the Kennedy half dollar has become a staple for coin collectors. The 1983 version, while not rare, still has value among collectors, especially those seeking to complete their sets or find coins in mint condition. As of today, the value of a circulated 1983 Kennedy half dollar is typically equal to its face value of 50 cents. However, as with any coin, its value can increase depending on its condition, rarity, and whether it has been graded by a professional service. In mint condition or as part of a proof set, the coin might fetch slightly more, though it will rarely exceed a few dollars. Coins in proof condition or uncirculated coins, which were minted for collectors, can hold more value, especially those that have been properly stored and preserved. And summary, the 1983 Kennedy half dollar ** is a continuation of a coin that pays homage to the memory of President John F. Kennedy. While it doesn't hold significant value in circulation today, its place in American history and its status as a collector's item ensures it continues to be a symbol of remembrance for one of the most pivotal figures in U.S. history. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming coin content. Got any questions or want to share your own thoughts about the 1983 half dollar? Drop a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. See you next time, and happy collecting!